to Messy Kitchen Happy Belly. My name is Lauren. This evening we're going to be making a buffalo lasagna. I got some really beautiful buffalo from Sunrise Ranch at the Golden Farmers Market, and I'm really excited to share a recipe using it. I love making lasagna, but I hate it when the meat gets really greasy, and I think it kind of adds too much fat to the whole dish. So using buffalo is going to lighten that up, and we're going to have a really nice protein without all the fat and extra grease. I am going to be making my own tomato sauce as well to go with this. It's a real easy recipe, and don't worry, it's not going to take all day or anything like that. But it'll be a really nice addition to this meal and really kind of make it special. So I hope you enjoy, and let's get started. Okay everyone, so the first thing we're going to do is a little bit of prep work. As you can see, I've already grated about 1.5 cups of hard Parmesan, and I've diced up half an onion. I also have 8 large basil leaves. These came from my garden, but you can definitely buy it store-bought. They usually come in little plastic boxes and pretty high quality, so not a bad problem. We're going to do a chiffonade on this, so kind of stack them all on top of each other, like I've attempted to do here, and it's kind of falling apart. But then you're going to roll everything together, make a tight little bundle. Hold on, give me a second, I'll show you my tight little bundle. Okay, and without that escapee leaf, you're just going to chop this very, very finely. Ostensibly, you're going to get really fine strips like this. The next thing I want to do is get my garlic ready, so obviously I'm going to continue with that chiffonade, but you guys don't need to watch that. I've got my lovely 3 cloves here that I'm going to use. And I'm just going to hayata them a little bit to get their skin to break. And then, ta-da, they come right out. I'm going to chop these up just a little bit, nice and coarse. And I'm going to pop them through my peeler, or I'm sorry, my press. Handy dandy, always waiting by. And I'll be sauteing that garlic in just 1 second. Alrighty everyone, so over at the stove we've got a couple things going on. I've got a large pot on the back burner boiling with a whole bunch of water in it, and some salt and olive oil. I'm going to put my lasagna sheets into there in a moment. I've got a large skillet also with olive oil over about medium heat, and I've got a saucepan, a large saucepan, also over medium heat. Both of those have been warming up for a little bit. Both of them have olive oil in them. First thing, I want to get my tomato sauce going though. So I'm going to take the onions that I have already diced. I'm going to put those in my large sauce pot. Like I said, that's already hot and ready to go. I'm going to let those saute for about 3 or 4 minutes, and then I'll add the garlic to them, but I don't want to add the garlic too soon, otherwise that'll get bitter as it cooks. In my large saute pan, I'm going to add my ground buffalo. I've got 1 pound of ground buffalo here. And I had this previously frozen, so excuse its funky shape. I'm going to break that all up. And again, this one's going to saute for about 15 minutes. I do want to get my buffalo cooked before I put it in the lasagna, just so that I don't have to worry about it not being completely cooked through. Alright, so that's all broken up. Maybe crank the heat on that guy a little bit, so I've got him over medium high. There we go. And my onions are working on it, and I'll be right back. Alright, great. So my buffalo has had a couple minutes to start cooking. My onions have started cooking. So now that my onions have gone for about 3 to 4 minutes over medium heat, I'm going to add my pressed garlic to them. So let me get that all mixed together, and this house is going to smell awesome. While my buffalo is cooking, I do want to season it. So I'm going to give it a good hearty, maybe a teaspoon, 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt. I'm also going to season my onion and garlic with a little bit of salt, just so that we've got layers of flavor going the whole time. The more often you season, the more better your salt's, your meat's gonna taste. So a little bit of pepper as well here, probably about half a teaspoon there. And I'm gonna add some to the onions and garlic as well, because why not? Because it'll be delicious. Get my buffalo going. That is almost ready to come off. You really don't want to overcook buffalo. Because it doesn't have a lot of fat, it does cook faster than beef will. And that second that you overcook it, you will know it is dry. So I want to make sure that I'm just respectful of the meat and not cooking it too fast and too long. Alright, I'm going to give my buffalo about 2 more minutes, and in the meantime, I'm going to add all of my tomatoes to my onion and garlic. I cheated, of course, you know, that's how I roll. And I'm just going to use some crushed tomatoes, 2 28-ounce cans of crushed tomatoes. I'm also going to add 28 ounces of diced tomatoes to this. Of course, I'm going to get it all over myself, obviously. And I'm going to kind of crank this guy up to high so that I get all of those tomatoes bubbling and stewing together. And I'm going to add another half a teaspoon of salt. I'm going to add probably a full teaspoon, oof, not that much, probably a full teaspoon of oregano. I love oregano, so I kind of go overboard. If you and your family are not so into it, I won't be offended. So there's my oregano. I'm also going to add probably a full teaspoon of dried parsley. Again, with any fresh herbs, always use twice as much as you would with the dry. And here comes my lovely basil. I went with fresh basil, but that's just because I have it conveniently. Again, if you have dried, that's great, just use twice as much. So I used probably 3 teaspoons of fresh basil, so 1.5 of dried. Pretty consistent with the other dried herbs. Want to get that all mixed through. And that's going to be absolutely lovely. I've got mine on high right now, so if you want to kind of keep it up there just because I want everything to be ready at the same time. But if you're doing this right, you would take all day and do it, you know, slow and low and add your wine and all that good stuff. But I'm doing the I'm hungry for dinner version. So my buffalo is good to go. Is cooked through, but definitely just reached that point. So I want to take that off of the heat. And also not burn myself while I do this. I'm going to add this whole shebang with its sauce into my tomato sauce for just some really nice flavor. Sorry if you can't really see that. There we go. Incorporate that all the way through. Oh, my tomatoes are starting to make weird sounds. Let me turn that down to medium. Medium low, I guess. I'm going to let that just continue to bubble away with the lid on because otherwise you'll make a giant mess. More than this mess. I don't know if you can already see that, but it's working on it up in here. And while that kind of bubbles and toil and troubles, I'm going to add my lasagna noodles. So give me 1 second to find my lasagna noodles, and I'll be right back. I'm going to add 9 noodles, but because it's my world, I'm going to add about 11 just in case 2 of them tear. Okay, so those I just want to cook until they're al dente. You don't want them to be soft and squishy because you are going to bake this for a little while, and if you overcook your noodles now, they're just going to fall apart and become a doughy mess later on. So I'm going to let those cook for about 6 minutes. My tomato sauce is going and all incorporated, and I'll be right back. Alrighty everybody, so my pasta is done. It's been on for 6 minutes, so I gotta drain that in 1 second. My sauce is getting awesome, y'all. It's starting to reduce. I don't know if you can see, but here, let me help you. Nope, wrong way. There we go. Okay, so you can see how much the sauce has reduced. And we're gonna kind of keep that up so that we get lots of deep, rich flavor. But to augment said lovely flavor, we are also going to cheat by adding, hold on, wait for it, it's exciting, some Parmesan cheese, y'all. It's gonna be delicious. We're also adding about a tablespoon of tomato paste. This is going to kind of thicken it up, bring it all together, but also add some really deep, rich flavor in there. I received a comment recently that my tablespoons were perhaps a little large. That is true. So okay, let's go ahead and be honest about this, and we'll say a tablespoon and a half. I'll be wild about it. So I want to get that all mixed up, and it's looking so pretty. Pretty sauce. Okay. And that's gonna keep cooking for just about 10 more minutes. The last thing I want to do is get my ricotta ready. So I've got 16 ounces of part skim ricotta and 1 egg. I'm going to mix those together. And then I'm going to add some lovely herbs to this. So I want to add about 2 teaspoons of fresh thyme. Got that all pulled together here on the side. Magical. Look, it just arrives into the frame. And I also want to put in the same herbs that I put into my sauce. So about 1 teaspoon of dried parsley, black pepper, again about half a teaspoon there, about another teaspoon of the dried oregano, or a little bit more if yours explodes on you like mine just did. And I'm also going to add about half a teaspoon of salt. Just a little bit, because we've already got some cheese that we're going to add into this, and we've already got salt in the sauce and in the meat. So mix that all together, and this is going to be your glue as you're putting everything together. Lovely. So to make sure that your noodles don't stick to the bottom of the baking dish, I have greased a 9 by 13 inch baking dish with just some Pam. You can use butter if you like, but Pam I think works quite fine. And I'm going to ladle about 2 or 3 ladlefuls of our meat sauce that we just created. Making sure that I get in all the nooks and crannies and get a pretty even layer on the bottom here. To ensure that it's even, I'll give it a little shaky. Lovely. Then I'm going to put down 3 noodles. That one, of course, has basil on it, but whatever. There are my noodles. I'm going to add 2 very large tablespoons of ricotta with all my herbs, and try to streak that along the noodles to get it evenly distributed. Very good. And let me show you actually what I'm doing here. Oh, maybe not that much. Okay. And then I'm going to add some part skim mozzarella on top of my ricotta. Say a small handful of that. I know that's not actually a measurable amount, but you know, bear with me. Making sure that I cover all of that ricotta. And then about 2 tablespoons of freshly grated Parmesan on top of all of that goodness. I'm going to repeat the process, sauce and noodles, cheese, until I'm done with my noodles. The last layer I'm going to put on is just a little bit more sauce so that my noodles don't burn while I'm cooking. Making sure that I get all those ends really well covered. And just a little bit on top. I don't like a ton on top of mine. If you're a saucy guy or gal, go ahead and finish her off as much as you like, but I just do a little bit. So smear that across. Lovely. And then get cheesy with it. So, a little bit more than you were adding in the middle of your layers. Get all that mozzarella on there looking beautiful. I mean, you know, why hold back? It's delightful. And I even have a backup bag because I know how I roll around here. Except for to be able to open it, so give me 1 second. Struggle bus. Oh, that's a better cheese ratio. And you're beautiful, looking fabulous. Alright, great. And the last of my Parmesan on top. Don't have very much of that, but we'll sprinkle it all around and make it look pretty. I'm even going to finish it off with a couple parsley flakes, really just because they look nice. And when you bring it to the dinner table, everyone will be like, oh my god, that's so beautiful. Okay, great. So, remember that oven we had heating up to 375? We're going to cover this for 30 minutes at 375, and then for 5 minutes, we're gonna take the foil off and let it get brown and crispy on top. Alright, everybody. So this is our final shot. We have baked this lasagna for 375 degrees for 30 minutes, and then I took the foil off and broiled it for 5. I hope you have a great meal and enjoy your messy kitchen. Happy Valley. Have a good night, guys.